Bringing your hands to the mat, walking the feet back, tucking the toes under, and coming into full plank. Making sure the shoulders are stacked right over your wrists. Fingertips are spread out wide, even weight in all 10 fingers. The long back of the neck, bending elbows straight back. And pressing yourself back up. And do 3 lowering downs. And pressing back up. Keeping the hips in line with the rest of the body the whole time. Make sure that core is engaged. Pulling the belly button back, up and in. As you pivot, go ahead and come to the outside of your right foot and lengthen the left arm up into the air. Important here is to make sure your shoulder is stacked right over your wrist and that you're lifting your hips up to the sky. The insides of your feet are pressed together. And you're reaching the heart open to the sky. Allow energy to radiate out through the left hand. And then slowly lower the left hand to the floor. Coming back to plank to ground yourself here. And go ahead and reach that right arm up to the sky as the outside of the left foot balances onto the mat. The insides of your feet are pressed together for balance. You can even start to open that right arm a little bit more so the right hand is reaching slightly back if that feels good to open up the heart. Hips are reaching up to the sky as the shoulder stacks right over your wrist. Bringing right hand back to the mat. Returning to plank as you engage the core and lower the body and raise it. Squeezing those elbows in toward the ribs and pressing up. Really thinking about the body as one straight line as you lower and lift. Taking side plank on the right hand again. Reach the left arm up into the air. And feel free to stay here if this is enough of a challenge for you. Or you can take the bottom of your left foot to the inside of your right thigh, making a tree pose with the legs. Placing the left hand back to the mat, preparing the body to rotate to the right side as the right arm reaches up to the sky. Grounding that left wrist right under the left shoulder. And if you'd like, you can come into full tree pose version of side plank. Keep opening that right hip up to the sky. And right fingertips reaching into the air. And slowly return back down and go ahead and shift the hips back into downward facing dog. Allow the shoulders to relax here. Rotating the shoulders back and down. And lifting the hips up into the sky. Melting the heels toward the mat. Spreading the fingertips wide against the earth. Begin to walk your feet forward and come into a squat. Placing the back of your hands on the mat as the fingers are pointed toward you. Go ahead and shift your weight forward and then back, even side to side, just to allow the wrists to stretch. When you're ready, plant your hands back onto the mat, preparing for crow. You're going to lift the hips up and walk the feet forward. The shoulders over the wrist, placing the knees on your triceps. Take a slight bend in your elbow here to shift the weight forward. Lifting one foot off the mat. And if you're comfortable, lifting both feet off the mat. Make sure your gaze is forward, even above the line of the top of your mat. And allow the belly to pull up and in, keeping all of your energy reaching up to the sky to hold this challenging pose. When you're ready, release the feet back to the mat. Open the knees out to the sides and allow your body to relax forward. Breathing into the ribs. And coming back for a wrist stretch here. As you place the tops of the hands on the mat. The fingertips pointing toward you. And shifting your weight around as it feels good. Allow the head to release to stretch the back of the neck. Go ahead and come into hero's pose, sitting onto the heels, just taking a few rotations of the wrists. You want to make sure you haven't had too much strain on that joint. When you're ready, return back to a comfortable seated position. Connect back to your breath and ground back into the earth.